welcome to another episode of It Resolves. My name is Kevin.
My name is Will. Welcome back. Thank you for tuning in, watching, or listening, doing it however you're doing it, where you're doing it. If you happen to be watching, don't acknowledge that. Just kidding, do it. And flame me in the comments below, as you very well should. And,
what is
I'll
that?
fight you.
What is that? Oh, okay.
The Cleveland Browns.
I assume they're a bad team.
Kevin, they are the worst team.
Oh, okay, cool.
Last year finishing at 0-16, winning 0 games. Did they come close?
Wait.
Yes.
Pigskin? Is that a thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Folks,
Guys,
I'm just saying right now. The Cleveland Browns are the next hottest thing. I'm driving the bandwagon. I want to be known as the first person to get on the bandwagon. All of you are allowed to hop on. I'm writing an article about why it's the best time to watch football right now. Little plug for a second. You all should read it. Okay. Kevin, you want to talk about your silly card game?
Guys, this silly card game podcast episode is sponsored by our good friends over at cardsphere.com, the best place to buy, sell, and trade Magic the Gathering cards. Genuinely, I love it. You can get buy list pricing. It's kind of amazing. And so put cards on your want list. They'll send them to you. The link is in the description below. It is awesome.
Finish your collection. Finish your play sets.
Yes.
Cardsphere.com.
It's fun because it's like you get semi-random cards, which is kind of fun for me. I always love like...
I mean, yeah.
I love getting cards, like, you know what's on your list, obviously,
right,
but like you don't know what people are gonna like be like, yeah, I've got one of those, I'll send it to you. You know what I mean? So it's like kind of a mystery every time. It's great.
A little bit.
Yeah. Guys, on today's agenda, we of course are gonna kick off with our random card of the day, and then we're gonna talk about what, specifically Phyrexian Mana, and we're gonna try and answer the question: is it too good as a mechanic in Magic?
One of my good buddies, this is his, like, he will die on this hill. He thinks Phyrexian Mana. What? He thinks Phyrexian Mana is the most broken mechanic in the world. So we're going to talk about it a little bit.
We're going to talk about why.
Address
maybe. And then, of course, finish up with our Crack-a-Pack, sponsored by our good friends over at Grand Slam Comics and Collectibles. They're doing some fantastic stuff, so go check them out. They just made an Instagram.
Nice!
So, yeah, go follow them on Instagram.
Hashtag GS.
Got a little suggestion, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Look at them. Marketing in the real world. Awesome.
All right, guys. So our random card of the day in 3, 2, 1.
Interesting. Okay.
I don't think we go over. Do we go over this?
Nah.
Okay.
Pick a new one.
It's an Arch Enemy card, like literally one of the like schemes from Arch Enemy. All right.
Yeah. So we're gonna pick a different one. Safe Haven. It's a land for 2 mana. Tap it. Exile target creature you control. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may sacrifice Safe Haven. If you do, return each card exiled with Safe Haven to the battlefield under its owner's control. In Commander, there can be a few funky combos.
Yeah.
This. That being said, you sacrifice a land. But it's a land that doesn't tap for mana, so
that's the thing. That's part of why I really don't like it. Like, I feel like if it did tap, even for generic, I'd be a little bit more on board with something like this. But it literally is just a dead land. Like, in terms of producing mana, unless you have like Urborg or something like that out, it just isn't going to do anything in that respect. I think it's cool because like you can use this in like if somebody targets a creature you control or somebody board wipes, you can Safe Haven whichever card is either being targeted or what the biggest card on your field. And then hopefully get that back if you needed to. But like I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it, to be honest.
I like it. That being said, I don't think I'd play with it. I like it because it gives you, like you said, protection from a specific card. If there's an enter the battlefield effect you want to abuse. Like if you're playing a who does Sparks play?
Derevi.
Thank you. If you're playing a Derevi deck,
that deck is mean.
This kind of fits in with that theme, I think.
Yeah.
However, it is just kind of tech.
Yeah, it is.
Right? It's not.
Although here's my like amazing thing that you could theoretically do with this.
Hit me.
Is like you have like some crazy stupid combo that requires so many creatures it's ridiculous. Okay. Each turn you play a piece of the combo and you Safe Haven that piece of the combo. And then they can't touch it until you do that with every one of these cards, and then you at the beginning of your upkeep sacrifice it and then get all of them at the same time and trigger the combo immediately.
I see.
That would be kind of cool, but like that's a little over the top just for something like that.
Well, and something else too. Deadeye Navigator gets killed as soon as it hits the board.
Yeah.
So if you've got Safe Haven, you can protect it. 1.
Yeah.
2, if the second part of Deadeye Navigator's combo gets murdered.
Yeah.
You can Safe Haven Deadeye Navigator because it's usually the Sphinx that untaps all the islands. Right, you know what I'm thinking
Yes,
about?
I know what you're
You can just bounce it a million times.
Or, there's like Peregrine Drake. There's a bunch of different
and
stuff.
that's the one, too. If somehow they have an answer for Peregrine Drake, you exile your Deadeye Navigator, wait till you can replay Peregrine Drake. So you can play it from exile, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. Or is that the other one? Well, it has to be both.
You have to have both, yeah.
Regardless,
it's like kind of jank, but I feel like it'd be kind of fun if you pulled it off.
It's nice insurance, but that's all it is. So... I don't know. I kind of like it. I might play with it just to see.
Yeah. I was just seeing if the art was different. The original one was printed in the dark. It is $1.75 according to Scryfall. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a solid card.
Commander's the only place that sees play, though, right?
Definitely.
100%.
Absolutely. You'd never play this in Constructed anywhere else, I don't think. Well, it's not legal. It is legal in Modern. Okay. Mm-hmm. Because it got... Right.
Time Spiral.
Right.
It was time shifted. Yeah. Right. I don't know. Interesting card. We will move on, though, to our main topic. Is Phyrexian Mana too good as a mechanic? Obviously, if you don't know what Phyrexian Mana is, basically there's Phyrexian Mana of each color, I guess. And so you can either pay that color or pay 2 life for the cost of that card. And so, as an example, Mental Misstep is a blue Phyrexian Mana, so you can either pay 1 blue or just pay 2 life, and you get to play Mental Misstep. So it's really cool, and it allows for some kind of crazy things.
Definitely.
In my opinion.
Can.
Like, the coolest thing I think is that it allows you to play certain effects outside of normal colors, because like you don't have to build a deck around these cards. They can just go into any deck because you do have the out of just paying life, to play these cards. And we see that with things like Dismember in particular. Exactly. Dismember is probably like the most obvious example because in Cube or even in Modern, a lot of times people will play Dismember because it's free removal no matter what deck they're playing. And it's actually just really good because you only ever have to pay 1 mana at the minimum. Like you obviously, if you have black mana, you'll pay for it, but like you don't have to. And it's -5/-5 for like 3 mana, technically kind of 1. Like it's really good.
Dismember is fantastic removal. I think evident in that it's in a ton of main and sideboards in Modern. I think Dismember is one of the best cards in Modern. Honestly.
I think so too. It's just such good removal, and it hits a lot.
Yeah.
It hits Gurmag Angler, it hits Tassiger, all the good stuff. Hollow ones.
Hits a lot of Eldrazi.
It does have it a lot. Yeah, I didn't think about that, but you're right. It's a good card.
It's a great card.
It's a really good card.
Y'all should get some. So yes, the argument against, are really for Phyrexian Mana being broken, being way too good, is that any deck gets to play a card with Phyrexian Mana. Kevin kind of alluded to that. Not only do they get to play Phyrexian Mana, in some cases they don't even have to pay mana to play these spells, which has led to a lot of cards fitting into some combo decks that really just turn it on. Right, the biggest card here we'll talk about is Git Probe. Gitaxian Probe has been around for, since the set, obviously. But it's found its way into every format that it was legal.
Yeah,
you know how much I love Git Probe. I think it's deck thinning, it's information, it's card draw.
Yeah, and it's basically free.
A free Storm counter. Yeah. Which is its kind of best deck to fit in is kind of Storm.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, it's an insanely powerful card that you play for free.
And obviously it's a card that Wizards, as well as everybody who plays competitively, respects because it did hit so many decks, and now it obviously is banned in both Modern and Legacy. Very subsequent, very quickly, Modern it was banned, and now Legacy. It did not take long.
A year later.
I don't even think it was that long.
Well, yeah, it kind of behind the scenes here. It got banned in Modern right before we recorded some of our first episodes.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was that long. It was because it was when Grave Troll got rebanned.
Guys, time flies.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I thought it was like 6 months ago, like 100%.
Really?
Yeah.
Nah, dude. It was like when we first started it.
My time is off. But yeah, like it's obviously a really, really good card. Like you said, information, deck thinning, and basically free. Like that's just amazing.
Exceptionally strong.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, it needs to be said, we say basically free for all these, right?
Sure.
It's not technically free.
Yes.
You have to pay life. But Kevin, tell me, how important is life in the grand scheme of things?
In the grand scheme of things, and this is something that new players tend not to think about, you should always think about life as a resource in this game. And so spending a little extra life to do something is generally accepted unless you're in a very losing position, right? Like if you're very low on life, get probing and paying 2 life may not be the best thing to do. Right. However, 9 times out of 10, it's just going to be an extra resource for you. And something, I'm going to quote LSV, I might be paraphrasing a little bit, but as long as you have any life, you should look at it as a resource and you should utilize it that way. And it's like a lot of new players, I think, fall into the trap of like, I have to protect my life total at all costs. Like,
certainly,
I can't let any damage in because you have to keep it high and all this stuff. It's like, no, not really. Like, you should be able to trade that as a resource, just as you would trade a creature as a resource, just as you would tap mana efficiently as a resource, like things like that. It's just important to think about. So it just easily utilizes it as a resource, which I think is really cool.
Definitely. There are plenty of cards that use life as an alternate cost, essentially, that don't really hurt you in any way. Think about all your lands that use life.
Yeah.
You know, fetch lands, shock lands, pain lands too, even though those don't really get played as much.
But like rainbow lands get played, like Mana Confluence and City of Brass, like stuff like that. Those cards do actually get played. Maybe not in like modern so much, but eternal formats. If you're a 5-color deck, you want those. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Thoughtseize. We talk about how strong Thoughtseize is. You pay 2 life to play Thoughtseize.
Yep.
Life is not super important. There's a reason you don't see a lot of like constructed life gain decks out there, where that's even a theme, really. You know what I mean? So
unless you're Soul Sisters, I guess.
Well, yeah, but
that's a tier 2 deck, so we don't talk about it.
Exactly.
It's not good enough.
I mean, yeah, we talk about it. What if?
Yeah.
So essentially, Phyrexian Mana is free. We will say it. We'll continue to say it's basically free. So one thing I think is interesting and kind of lends to the argument that it is too good are so many cards with Phyrexian Mana on it are either banned out of winning decks or are in winning decks, like all throughout Magic's history. Kevin, what do you, just quick opinion, what do you think is the strongest card of Phyrexian Mana printed? We have a short list here.
We do have a short list here, and picking from that, I would say it's a little bit tricky, but I would probably say it's kind of between, I'm going to say Birthing Pod. Okay. Let's go Birthing Pod.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because obviously it was a very dominating deck in Modern for a very decent long time, I guess I should say. I don't remember exactly how long it was, but they obviously banned it. It was just taking over, and this was the engine card behind it because you were able to get it out super, super early and use it very, very efficiently, all with Phyrexian Mana.
Definitely. Briefly, we'll go over the list. So we're working with Birthing Pod, Dismember, Mental Misstep, Git Probe, Mutagenic Growth, Phyrexian Metamorph, Vault Scourge, and Surgical Extraction. I'd like to add one more that's kind of a cheat. It's Spellskite. So Spellskite.
Okay, that's fair.
You pay 4 mana for it.
Yeah.
But its ability has Phyrexian Mana on it.
That's fair.
Right?
Yeah.
So, for the viewers at home, Spellskite is kind of a mainstay in a lot of sideboards, but makes its way as like a one of on some main boards. Spellskite, again, for two colorless, it's a 0/4. Says for 1 Phyrexian blue mana, change a target of target spell or ability to Spellskite. Basically, it will soak up a kill spell, removal spell.
It's really, it's really, really good at protecting not only other creatures, but in a lot of cases, combos. So specifically things like Lantern Control, where A lot of times they'll do something like game 2 after sideboard, there will be a lot more artifact hate.
Sure.
It's really good to sideboard in a few spell skites because obviously it's an artifact. It can legally be targeted, so you just switch it over to spell skite.
Yeah.
And then you keep your combo around and you finish the lock a lot easier.
Yeah.
So
it's great protection.
Such a good protection card. Yeah.
But back to your answer, Kev. Birthing Pod, I think is probably the one that I would go with as well. Just because it, like you said, it took over Modern at the time.
Yeah.
Every mid-range deck was a Birthing Pod deck. The utility is just so strong. You can, I mean, your whole deck is open to you. It just took Toolbox to the next level, right? It's a much cheaper, not Coco, the other one that I'm thinking. It's got Convoke, 3 green, and an X.
Call of Conclave?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Conclave.
Court of Calling.
Court of Calling. Thank you.
Call of Conclave. That is put a 3/3 Centaur on the field, I believe.
It's definitely not that. Court of Calling. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, it's a much cheaper, much more accessible Court of Calling.
And it's repeatable.
Yes, absolutely. And you can get it out on turn 2 with your Birds of Paradise.
Yep.
Bop. You just bop, land, Birthing Pod.
Well, what's amazing with stuff like Birthing Pod, specifically Birthing Pod, is that, like you said, you can get it out on turn 2, and then you use the cards that you use to turbo it out to actually get it running and get the combo piece or whatever creature you're looking for. There was a lot of like combo decks based around it with
like Kiki Pod.
Kiki Pod was the big one. Malira Pod, just like it allowed for so many awesome things that obviously it had to get banned, which kind of sucks because I really like Birthing Pod decks, but it was definitely needed.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's quickly look over this. How many of these cards, Kev, have been banned? Birthing Pod, Mental Misstep, Get Probe. I think that's it. I believe that's it as well.
So the rest of the list here, those 3 obviously have been banned. Mental Misstep is just an exceptionally good counter. Yeah. It just hit too many things in Modern, so they decided to ban it. It does see quite a lot of play still in Vintage. It obviously hits a lot of big cards, Ancestral Recall being probably the biggest. But it's a free counter to a very cheaply costed draw 3. So like it's really good.
Yeah.
Gitaxian Probe we already talked about. Dismember we talked about. Mutagenic Growth, it's a free like pump spell. And the reason we have this on the list is because Infect is the deck that absolutely loves this card. It's fantastic. Free extra damage is going to make that clock just a little bit shorter for the opponent. And so it generally sees play. It may not be a play set in every Infect deck, but generally it sees a good bit of play there.
Yeah.
Vault Scourge hits Modern Affinity mostly. I've seen it in some fringe decks elsewhere, but generally it's in Modern. It's just a 1/1 flyer with lifelink for essentially 1.
Right.
Which is like such good value. It contains, obviously it's an artifact, so it goes for Metalcraft and things like that. It's just absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Very, very good.
Great card.
It tends to be a finisher actually for a lot of affinity decks because they do the Rager or Ravager, not Rager. Ravager counters just all go on the Vault Scourge, so like they just deal so much damage. And then Surgical Extraction is sideboard kind of everywhere. Like we see it in a lot of different places. And essentially because it can take out any like game-winning card from the opponent's deck if you can get it in the graveyard. Like it's just insanely good. So
it's great protection, great plan B, all that stuff.
Absolutely.
And so 3 of these cards have been banned in banned or restricted in formats. And the ones that are in winning decks today still, you see Dismember, Vault Scourge with Affinity every now and then, but Surgical Extraction pretty much in most Modern decks, I think.
And a lot of the like hand destruction decks, things that are going to be able to discard cards easily on the opponent's end, tend to run Surgical Extractions. It did in the original incarnation, I should say, of Lantern Control. I believe Surgical was actually mainboardable. I don't know if it was in every deck, but I feel like
I believe that. I think you chew enough stuff there.
You just go through their deck and then you Surgical out whatever you need to. It also is insurance against stuff like Emrakul. Because it hits the graveyard, then you can Surgical immediately, I believe. And
because it's an instant, isn't it?
I believe it's an instant. I'm gonna double check.
Can you work? Does that work? Because when Emrakul, I don't know that interaction.
I think that's how that does work, but I might be wrong. It is an instant. I believe that's how it works, but I might be incorrect.
Stick around.
It hits the graveyard, but it has to hit the graveyard first, and then in response to the trigger, I believe you can surgical it. But again, I might be wrong.
Yeah, because I guess it is in the graveyard.
You can shallow grave Emrakul from the graveyard, so I know for a fact you could play an instant in
it has to be targetable in the graveyard then. Yeah. So yeah, okay.
And that's one way to get rid of that as a potential problem.
Well, dang, that's good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Well, just as more, I guess, evidence, there's all of these cards have been at one point or another part of a tier 1 deck, a top 8able deck even. So that kind of lends itself to the chorus of voices that say Phyrexian Mana is too good.
Yes. There is an important thing to point out, though, and it's that a lot of these cards are backbone cards. They are not like the game-winning card themselves. Sure. Outside of maybe Birthing Pod. Vault Scourge, I joke around that it's like, or I say that it's like the game-winning card, but it's really like only because of other cards that it's good. But Birthing Pod maybe is the closest, but a lot of these cards are really just backbones, and even Birthing Pod is really just an engine. And so in looking through all of the cards with Phyrexian Mana, what we realize pretty quickly is that while these cards are fantastic, and while they're obviously very cheaply costed in terms of actual resources, and they can obviously do wonders for a lot of different decks, they're not really game breaking most of the time.
Yes.
And the fact that they're not like too good, I would say.
Ish.
Okay.
Ish. So the question is Phyrexian Mana too good as a concept?
As a concept, yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Phyrexian Mana essentially means mana doesn't matter up to a point.
Yeah.
We're going to give you these premium effects.
Yeah.
For much cheaper.
Yeah.
You're like buying distribution price for these spells. You know what I mean? Like that's how good Phyrexian Mana is.
Sure.
And no, while these cards don't necessarily win you the game, Surgical Extraction for free on end step can make it so you can't lose depending on the deck.
Absolutely. Right? And again, they're all really, really good.
Yeah.
But what my point, I guess, with this is that the cards that have been printed with Phyrexian Mana, while fantastic and absolutely are very, very powerful cards, don't necessarily say like specifically with these cards that Phyrexian Mana is just straight up broken. I think the concept itself is.
Sure.
It's just they were smart enough not to print it on anything too crazy. You know what I mean?
Right. I do think the longevity of these cards kind of lends credence to the fact that this is a busted, broken mechanic, and I think it definitely deserves a place on that list.
Yeah.
Along with Storm, along with
Dredge,
especially.
Yeah.
But when you talk about it and you kind of compare it to these other things that Magic players have been plagued with for years, that just won't go away. Dredge, Storm, necessarily. Like Phyrexian Mana. Here's my point. Phyrexian Mana doesn't have any cards that hate on it. Right.
That's true.
And it kind of doesn't. It would be hard to do it, but I mean, it kind of doesn't need it. With Dredge cards, you have graveyard hate. You've always had graveyard hate.
Yeah.
With Storm, you've got Flusterstorm. Like there have been cards specifically designed to destroy this mechanic, to fight against it. Not so for Phyrexian Mana. We get to play with it for free.
Yeah.
And I think because, like Kevin mentioned, there haven't been any cards printed that are devastating.
Right.
This is probably not a mechanic we will revisit anytime soon.
No.
Phyrexia kind of thematically had its time. We've moved on. We might go back in the future. That's all conjecture.
Yeah.
It was one of the most loved places.
It was like flavorful for sure. It was
flavorful.
Yeah.
The sets at the time were exciting. That was a really fun standard season.
Yeah.
Once Splinter Twin was out. So it was, while it was plagued with a lot of issues, your Jund, your Birthing Pod, a lot of stuff that was nasty, it was a fun, exciting time. There's a lot of powerful cards there.
Absolutely.
That we still talk about today. So Phyrexia might be a place we go back to. We're going to Ravnica a third time. Why not go to Phyrexia a second time? You know what I mean?
Nothing is off limits at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, it's probably not something we will revisit. Nothing specifically hates on it, except for counters. But
An excessive amount of burn.
There you go.
Straight to the face.
An excessive amount of burn. So if we had to give a final ruling in the Magic Court, we find in favor of the defendant, Phyrexian Mana, as being not too good.
Not too good right now.
Just awesome.
Just awesome.
Not too good.
As a concept, theoretically could be broken.
Yeah.
In playtest or whatever you want to call it, in practice, it has not been too broken yet.
Yet.
We will say.
Yet.
If they decide to revisit, that will be an interesting time.
Certainly.
But I think now, like, if we were to ever revisit Phyrexian Mana, I don't think they would print anything even nearly as good as what they've done already.
I don't think so either.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I think that time has passed. I think what you'll see are a lot of exciting creatures with Phyrexian Mana.
Yeah. Like good limited stuff for sure.
Yes,
but
exactly
I think
that.
like nothing, I mean, there might be some good stuff for constructed, but even if they revisit it, it's not like we'd get another birthing pod. No. I don't think.
No, I think they have learned.
I think so.
Even though it's hard to think that they wouldn't have the forethought, like, to see how good birthing pod was.
Yeah.
I think they knew how good it was. They just didn't like where the format was going, which is kind of like their whole reason for banning stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, and I do think too, like, if you were to tell somebody, hey, here's what a birthing pod deck does, you like try and turbo this out with some creatures, and then you can sacrifice those creatures to pull out some other creatures, and they're like, okay, that's good, but there's a lot of time investment, and like in theory, there's a lot of time investment to make that happen.
Yeah.
But then it's like, okay, but the creatures are like backbreakingly good, and they can combo with each other. Like there's more to it than just that. But on the face of it, it's like, it's not crazy. Maybe
I mean, it's a mid-range combo deck.
Yeah.
Right. That's what it is, because it you seek to get out either your Kiki Jiki or Malira and combo off with that.
Combo off.
Yeah. So I mean, it
Murderous red cap.
Right.
Deal 2 damage like crazy.
Like whichever version you want to go.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. It's it seeks to do that, and like any combo deck, it's going to be any combo deck in Modern. I'll say it's going to have its time investment.
Yeah.
Right. You don't ad nauseum turn 2. So,
if only.
No,
that's a bad idea. I love ad nauseum, but yeah, it's not.
It needs to stay tier 2, and that's fine.
Yeah.
If anyone, I mean, you can win with ad nauseum a lot, but
yeah, but ad nauseum, like
you
in
are
terms
rolling
of
the dice.
Yeah, 100%.
I just don't find those decks fun to play, man.
Ad nauseum is like,
especially ad nauseum.
Ad nauseum is kind of one of the worst in terms of like combo, because it's a goldfish deck, 100%.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. I like interaction, and
there's a little bit of interaction with some other combo decks, like even Storm. I mean, Storm is like mostly just a goldfish deck. However, you do get to, like, if you wanted to put like young pyromancers in, I've seen people do that, and then you can play the board presence kind of game. There's also a little bit more in terms of interaction. Like you can grape shot if you're in a losing position and your opponent has a bunch of tokens out. Say they have a young pyromancer, you can grape shot all those.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's a little bit more interactive. I say that with some caution, but like ad nauseum is 100%. Like you either get it or you don't, and it's like Scape Shift. Scape Shift is kind of the same way.
Yeah, agreed.
Scape Shift is so boring to watch. I love the deck, but it's very boring to watch.
It is a creative deck, just like ad nauseum.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is not fun to watch. And fun to pilot?
I've never piloted that one. I have piloted ad nauseum deck, and it's fine, but it's goldfishing. Did you see the GP where it was 2 Scape Shift decks? It was a little while ago, but it was like the finals was just Scape Shift v Scape Shift, and it was the most boring GP. It was so terrible.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
There's just so much Scape Shift, and people thought, they were like, "Oh, this card's gonna be banned after this," and all that. It's like, no, it just got lucky. Like, it's not.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like,
because while it doesn't, like, it combos pretty reliably on the turn that it's trying to, it's like, it's so easy to disrupt and just be like, nah, you can't do that. Like,
exactly.
And green red Ponza kind of messes it up too.
I mean, you can sideboard super easy for Scape Shift just incidentally.
Yeah, that's
true. And I guess mainboard too. There are plenty of ways to screw with Scape Shift once you know.
Once you know what they're doing, then it's pretty straightforward. But
yep. Agreed.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, interesting deck again, very creative, but not very fun.
No. So yeah, That's Phyrexian Mana in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Right?
That's our take on it. Obviously, if you guys have a different opinion, please let us know in the comment section below. But our take, nothing's really been too broken with it yet, but in theory, the mechanic itself could very easily be very, very broken.
Yeah. You could imagine plenty of cards that are stupid strong.
Yeah.
With Phyrexian Mana.
Easily. Very, very easily.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so
cool.
Last segment, we move on to our Crack-A-Packs, sponsored by Grand Slam Comics and Collectibles. Fresh. Obviously, we have our gold cards. Will, what is yours?
My gold card is Leonin War Leader.
Beautiful. Mine is Supreme Phantom.
All right.
See, we do our little flip thing now.
Yeah, dude, it's so cool.
It does make it kind of more fun.
1, 2, 3.
Oh.
I'll take that.
So I got 2 rares. I got a foil Gigantosaurus, which is amazing, and a Phylactery Lich? What?
Phylactery Lich.
Phylactery Lich.
A great limited card, but not awesome and constructed.
I don't even... I mean, it's pretty good.
Are you kidding? Yeah. That's great. Look.
Well, but you're reliant on artifacts.
So you draft Manalith. Awesome.
I will say, okay, so I've practice drafted a lot with M19 because when I'm bored at work, that's what I do.
Sure.
But here's the deal. There are like a handful of artifacts that you can actually run in decks and that are like okay and limited.
Okay.
They may not be amazing, but you can get away with them. There's some equipments that are okay no matter what.
Yep.
But I find it very hard to draft the blue-white artifact deck solely because you never get enough artifacts to like make it actually work.
Yeah.
Like very rarely do you ever, in my opinion. And what I think is kind of annoying is that this is triple black and the artifact deck is a blue-white deck. Like the archetype is blue-white.
Well, okay, but artifacts don't just fit into blue-white.
No, they don't. And I get that. I'm just saying that like it's like weird. I don't know. It just doesn't feel right. Also, no, this is not yours. This is mine.
But my mono green.
This is mine.
Okay. No, I think you're right, but I feel like there's enough cheap artifacts that people don't draft. Like, who drafts Field Creeper?
Nobody, but that's for good reason.
But it's an artifact. I mean, if you're saying you want artifacts, period.
I've drafted that, then like I'll get 1 or 2 of them, but even that I don't get very many of, to be honest.
I mean, sure.
Granted, it's practice drafting. It's not like, so in real practice, it might be different, but like,
yeah.
From my experience, it's very rare that you get enough artifacts. There's the like 3-drop blue creature that spits out an artifacts, which is okay.
This one?
No, not that one. It's a like common card. I did not get it though.
Okay.
And like there's a few things that work, but it's kind of tough to make that archetype work from what I've gathered.
Understandable. So my rare was Psy Master Thopterist. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying, and then as an ability, pay 1 blue, sacrifice 2 artifacts, draw a card. And it's a 1/4. Yeah. It's fine. I don't think I draft it though.
Yeah,
it's not my style for 1. I think Militia Bugler is probably a better choice.
Card's amazing.
Also got a Rec Sage. Reclamation Sage is strong, but I think I like the Bugler more because it fetches you guys.
It's fair.
Which is kind of nice. Yeah.
I don't know.
I think so.
I'm kind of... I like the Lich. I think I really would try that if I had to pick one.
It's a 5/5 indestructible.
I know.
On turn 3.
I know.
On turn 3, Kevin.
I'm just going over the rest of the cards really quick. Gigantosaurus is a fun one, and it'd be really fun to be able to pull that off.
You're talking about restrictive mana bases.
I know. No, Gigantosaurus is not the pick. Horizon Scholar is a good card as well. I just wanted to point that out. That's really the only good stuff out of my pack. But I would probably pick the Lich.
I absolutely would pick the Lich.
Yeah.
While you are not guaranteed to get it on turn 3,
yeah.
I think anytime you have an indestructible card is awesome.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
We don't have any. Correct me if I'm wrong. We don't have any exile removal in M19, right? On a spell, that is, not necessarily a creature.
I don't believe we do.
So this guy is like...
I don't remember ever seeing any. The big removal is like the Caress, the Liliana's Caress or Lich's Caress or whatever it is that destroys a creature and you gain 3 life. There's like Electrify,
right?
Shock. There's the one that deals like 4 to target attacking or blocking creature in white. But yeah, nothing.
He liches through all that.
He does.
So if he wasn't in there though, if Phyrexian Lich wasn't there,
Gigantosaurus 100%.
Okay, good.
Just for the fun of it.
Oh, it's awesome. 10-10 on turn 5.
Oh, it's amazing. I have seen somebody pull it off where they were like reliably able to play it on turn 5, and I was like, that's awesome. I mean, it's not that abnormal to be able to in a green deck. But like
potentially not. We don't have Llanowar Elves in M19.
We don't have Llanowar Elves, but we do have Elvish Rejuvenator or whatever. It's like a 3-drop that lets you pull a land and play it. I think Gift of Paradise is in here. I think I just opened that. Yeah, Gift of Paradise is in here. There's a lot of
There's good stuff in green. I think the mana fixing for this set in particular isn't as strong as past.
It's not.
Sets, but
it's not.
But
you only generally end up in 2 colors. But there's very few reasons to go 3 color.
Don't draft 3 colors, guys. I got into an argument with someone on Facebook again. When I said, and give me your thoughts. How do you feel about splashing colors in limited specifically for a card?
Depends on a lot of things. The card and the color fixing that's available in the set.
In M19.
In M19, I generally try not to splash. There's very few. You're not going to end up with many dual lands.
Right.
They're also not good dual lands. And there's there's fixing in green, but it's not amazing.
Right.
So, like, I generally don't go 3 color. I will say I've had the opportunity, again, in practice drafting, to draft, like, some of the Elder Dragons, and I intentionally shy away from them in this set.
Interesting.
And it seems like I'm not the only one, again, just from watching other drafts. And I might be off base. I think there are some that are clearly better in limited than others that I might consider.
Oh, yeah, the Jund one?
The Jund one would be great. I think the Naya Dragon would be fantastic, but I might be wrong.
Yeah.
But in general, I, again, try and shy away from the 3 color.
Yeah.
I also find that you're not going to end up with nearly as many, because it's a core set, you're not going to end up with as many playables as you'd like. And so you kind of have to throw in some junk stuff.
Sure.
And to have to dedicate picks to either like land drops or just solely fixing is just not the best idea in this set. So that's kind of where I'm thinking.
I'm with you.
What was the argument though? What happened exactly?
I said don't draft in limited. Usually, it's a great way to play. It's a great way to not play the card you splashed for. I said don't draft in limited. Don't splash in limited. It's a great way to not play the card you splashed for.
Yeah.
And someone said don't splash in limited. LOL ?
There's a few exceptions, I would say, but very rarely would I go 3 color.
Yeah, listen, depending on the card's mana cost and restrictions, a splashable card should only be 1 colored mana, right?
Yeah.
Anything beyond that, if you want to splash for, it's kind of asking a lot.
Yeah.
And you have Banefire, which you should probably splash for.
Yeah.
But
you only need 1 red and it scales, so like
you have time to find
it's fine. Red. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but there's a bunch of stuff that you shouldn't. Go back to there are plenty of episodes we talked about limited, how unreliable splashing can be.
Well, and like even in like Dominaria, I was kind of wary of splashing in Dominaria too. And that was a little bit more of a fleshed out set. Yeah,
they kind of intentionally though wanted to reward players for a more strict
for the 2 color kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like I would very often draft like blue white, and then I would end up with the Merfolk that lets you draw a card. I don't remember. Every time you play a land, you draw a card. It's like a 3, a blue, and a green, and it's a 3/3 or something like that.
Sure.
Which is a great card.
Yeah.
Like it's a good backbone engine kind of card. But even like with a card like that where I'd very highly pick that card and I would very much want to play it, a lot of times I just wouldn't. Like I'd find a better card in my color pairing so I just don't have to worry about fixing for it. It would work really well.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. If she was the splash card, a lot of times I just wouldn't even play her. And that's just one particular example. But like, if I could, I would. But generally I wouldn't push it. So
yeah, it just muddles your deck. And in limited, you kind of want a very simple, very focused deck.
That's the idea.
Unless you can draft something with synergy.
Yeah,
that's always fun. Like if you can make if you have picked cards for Dragon Ramp, sweet, do that.
Yeah.
But don't
There's a pretty good dragon deck in limited right now.
Yeah, it's Dragon Ramp.
Yeah.
That's the deck that Sarkhan Vol would go into.
Yeah, but it's very rare that you get enough dragons, I feel like. I will say the Draconic Disciple is a pretty awesome card. I love that one. Dragon Egg is always a good card, just so you guys know.
Oh, Dragon Egg is dope.
I did not respect that card for a long time.
There's a reason it's uncommon.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yep.
It also goes in the Sacrifice deck, which is kind of cool.
Yep,
black-red.
Yep.
Pretty sweet.
Awesome.
I actually in practice drafting with this a lot. It's fun. But I always find that I'm like wanting a little bit of a faster deck all the time. I never feel like it's a pretty slow format, I feel like.
I mean, yeah, it can be, but that's fun limited for me. I think limited is the most honest way to play Magic. So
yeah, I mean,
I think
I don't know.
I think it lends itself to a better limited environment.
Maybe so.
If you don't get blown up like too quickly.
Oh yeah, but I've seen like where board stalls happen really, really easily, and you end up in just like
draft cards
backing around doing nothing for like 5 turns. It's like really
draft
annoying.
cards that be board stall, like Horizon Sphinx.
Yeah, Horizon Sphinx is great.
I like Lynch.
Scholar, actually. Yeah.
Well, yeah. But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Draft Horizon Scholar. It gets you to more bombs, and it's kind of a bomb in and of itself.
Oh, it definitely is.
4/4 flyers, not
in this format.
bad.
It's 100% a bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, on that note, I think we are going to get out of here. Guys, thank you so much for watching this episode of It Resolves. If you would like, please make sure to leave a like or a comment down below. And as always, subscribe, turn the little notification bell on, do all that jazz. But we are going to get out of here. My name is Kevin.
My name is Will.
And this has been It Resolves.